Is this the start of a dynasty? The multi has got up 2 weeks in a row. The Bag of Snags is 2 from 4. Boy, this show has taken 4 years, but it's finally paying off. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Neds AFL Unpopular Opinions. I'm Dylan Leach, and it's great to be with you for another week as we head into Gather Round. And joining me, as he does each and every week, is a man who got 57 disposals in a game playing for Port Magpies. It was 30 handballs, 27 kicks, 14 clearances, 12 tackles, 8 inside 50s. This was all for playing for the Port Adelaide Magpies, by the way, against the North Adelaide Roosters in 2019. He built the foundations of the club himself, Tom Rockliff.
Yeah, had a bit of a day out. Wet weather, suited me. A lot of off the grounds that day, but blessed.
57 touches, mate.
We had a good team. Paddy Ryder in the ruck, tapping it down to you. Westhoff.
45 contested nut.
Yeah, something like that.
So what happened to get all you guys dropped then if you were playing for the Magpies that way?
Well, I was coming back from a hamstring.
Okay.
Westy, Peps and Paddy had all been left out. So, yeah, we were going okay. And then, obviously, we touched them up, and then the senior team, of course, lost. Got done against the Western Bulldogs that night.
Congratulations are in order, back-to-back multis with you and Ryan.
Yeah, we're on fire. So the Neds punters out there, the bookies aren't happy with us, but the punters are getting in queue, and we only need to win one more for the year. And
same with the Bag of Snags, by the way. So it's going well. Should we get too confident, or do we just...
Well, we're going to probably get 3 in a row this week, me and Ryan, so the snapshot later on.
Do you want to ask Lynchy about what it's like to get a three-peat? He's here, by the way, a man who played for, depending on whose statistical history you believe, he either played for one club, two clubs, or 3.
Deal with fact. How many clubs?
Well, according to the AFL, you played for 2.
3.
It's 3, isn't it?
No, the AFL statistical records say that you played for 2 clubs, which is Fitzroy and Brisbane. But some people argue you played for 1 club, and some people argue you played for 3. But according to the AFL, it's 2.
Too hard.
How many clubs do you reckon you played for?
I wore about 8 jumpers.
Yeah.
8 different jumpers, I reckon.
That's what they do in 2025.
I played for 3 clubs, didn't I?
According to the AFL, you played for 2. You're here nonetheless. You played 305 fantastic.
Or 1.
You played for 305 games. That's what. 3
did I?
premierships. Yes.
I don't reckon I did.
You did.
I reckon I played 306.
Oh, okay. Well, according to this, we'll look that up.
Now, I like that record. If they're disregarding my last game, that's perfect. Maybe you got to touch the ball to register.
What happened in your last game?
No, right, push on.
All right. Hello, Alastair Lynch.
Hello, how are you?
Good to have you
Rocky,
here, mate.
you might get a game with 57 touches. You might still get a game for Port Adelaide.
Yeah, what's going on there?
I could slip into there midfield.
Jeez, that was disappointing. I mean, the Saints were good.
Saints
were
good.
with half a team of kids.
Yeah.
That is disappointing.
Yeah, and I know you've got to rest your older fellas like Bokey and stuff like that, but they were disappointing. Their midfield didn't fire any shots, I don't think, and yeah, it's a bit of where are Port Adelaide at now. They're a bit in no man's land.
And that's the whole thing we've said from the start of the year. It is no man's land. Make a decision.
Well,
are you bringing in your new coach, or you getting rid of your current coach? What's going on?
Front page of the Adelaide Advertiser, because it's all happening in South Australia this week, is depression, succession, pressure on Hinkley.
Well, there's
1
always...
of 3. Coach in waiting car. They've got Hawthorn on Sunday night. It'll get ugly.
There's always been pressure, and there's always going to be pressure on you as a senior coach over there. I think they probably need to do it now. Or certainly by the midpoint of the year, I think it's probably time for Kenny to say goodbye and let Kari take over, because I know they've tinkered with the game plan. You can see they're trying to play a bit more aggressive style, but it's time for, I think, what's the point of wasting half a year if you know you're going down that path? Shake hands and away you go, because I think there's frustration starting to build everywhere, and it just seems like you're wasting time.
What a surprise. Yeah, absolutely. What a surprise. They've made the decision but wouldn't announce it.
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing that, why I scratch my head and think, well, you made a decision that Kenny's not the coach. Now, whether we agree with that or not, you've made that decision. Make the decision. Make the call.
I think we were offering about $1.01 that this would be the case at the start of the year.
Yeah.
The whole principle is if you think you can win the flag, keep Ken there. If you don't think you can win the flag, which now I think every person in Australia would say that they can't win the flag, there's no point prolonging it, is there? When they handed over at Collingwood, they obviously went to a grand final. didn't they? Mick
Yes,
and
well,
Buck.
2018 they went to the
So they went to a
grand
grand final with the transition and the handover.
Oh, I get Mick's grand final. Yep, sorry, yep.
And then, Port Adelaide aren't going to go there this year, so might as well do the handover. And I know you probably got to bring in another coach, and they're hard to find, but I think they've got enough understudies to be able to do it and transition.
Yeah.
Fun times. Speaking of Adelaide clubs, fantastic game on Saturday. Game of the year so far, and yes, it was tainted with a controversial decision at the end.
Well, one or two controversial decisions at the end, but there was controversial decisions right through.
Yes, but it was a brilliant game of football,
Great
nonetheless.
game. We were both there commentating for our respective media outlets, and that was
speaking of commentary for respective outlets, Tom Rockliff got some extra mileage. You not only did you get back in the
mileage, did you?
Not only did Lynchy get upstairs from the boundary line, you got upgraded to the commentary box, but Simon Black was late, and Tom had a whole quarter to himself.
Yeah, I did hear about that. Tell us for the listeners that haven't heard, what happened?
The great man Simon Black, you know what he used to be like. So team meeting, he'd walk in 1 minute before. He was never late, but he'd get there right on, like smack bang. He'd be sleeping somewhere and he'd wander in. So on the weekend,
never fast.
He left himself a little bit late. So I reckon I left Brisbane at 10 o'clock, and you know what the motorway is like. Yeah. The M1 down to the Gold Coast, it can take you 45 minutes or 2.5 hours. I left at 10, got there at 10 past 11, so an hour and 10, pretty good run. Blackie, I reckon, left at 10:30 and arrived at 12:45.
So that sick in the guts feeling.
He reckons he got to Springwood and just called the producer and said, I'm in all sorts of trouble here.
And don't you feel bad? You think, oh no, I'm gone here. Because we've had experiences in the past where the Brisbane Lions were late.
Yeah.
They caught the bus from Brisbane to Metricon as it was back then, and they'd delay the game. I remember I was down there thinking the same thing. You've got to go early. You've got to go early because you can get the hiccups.
Speaking of going early, or going on another subject, make sure you get to the MCG nice and early for the rest of the season, given what's going on there. But we might leave that for... We'll stick with the events on the Gold Coast on Saturday. An unpopular take is... that controversial decision makes the Crows-Suns next contest even more tantalising than it already is. It just adds to what could be one of the great future matchups.
Well, absolutely.
It adds fable, it adds story.
That's part of it.
And
Adelaide feel...
Well...
don't they feel robbed over the years?
Let's have a look at the list of the times the Crows were robbed. So there was the 2-point loss against Collingwood in 2023, where Jordan Dawson was denied a free kick. There was, of course, the Sydney one with Ben Keys, which should have put the Crows in the finals. It didn't. There was the Sam Draper thing last year against Essendon.
Oh, yeah, nice.
The push. There was another one against Collingwood where Isaac Rankin was pinged for running too far in the final moments against Collingwood, also at the MCG last year. And naturally, Saturday afternoon, the 1-point loss. And who could forget the 2009 semi-final where... a very famous quote from a fan where said it happened right in front of him.
You know what this is?
What?
This is getting them back for that Fitzroy game where we got robbed.
Correct.
Half a dozen decisions in the last 5 minutes have robbed us.
So this is justice for Rod Jamieson.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was absolute murder too.
Stitched.
I'll just go on the record about those non-decisions against the Crows, or that didn't fall their way. Could not happen to a better club.
Nice. There's the Port Adelaide passion coming out of you. So what was your call live? So first Rankin mark?
A free kick. I don't think he marked it. I think you could argue that it bobbled out, but definitely a free kick. Collins wraps both arms around him and takes him to the ground. Like, it's a tackle in midair. I think no one can dispute that. The umpire was right there, right in front of him. I don't know how he didn't pay it, because once you wrap both arms around, that's a free kick every day of the week. And
as soon as you see the arm around the waist, whether you're holding them or not, it's a free kick.
I was praying he got the free kick, went back and kicked a point. So at three-quarter time, I called draw on Triple M.
Yeah.
So there's no guarantee to kick it.
But
I think it's a free kick.
Oh, it is. Well, I didn't get that far. I thought it was Mark. I thought he had control of it. It was a split-second thing, but I thought it was Mark. But even the Jed Walter sling tackle over the boundary line. I mean, in the quarter before, was it 2 quarters before? But that was a ridiculous decision. There were some terrible decisions.
Blackie wasn't happy with the 50-metre penalty in the last quarter as well. The Weller took the mark, pushed in the back, 50-metre penalty. Went on to kick the goal. Don't remember that one.
Yeah.
I thought it was there.
That was there. You know what? And who was the player? Was it? Who was the player? Peatling, was it?
Yeah, he gave the 50.
Gave the 50.
Yeah, he wasn't in the contest to make contact.
He knew.
Yeah.
You just can't put yourself in that position. As soon as he's touched him, he knows I'm in strife here.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. But the other one, before we move on from that game, and popular, Jared Witts is one of the most underrated players in the competition, if not ruckman, for maybe the last 10 years.
Yeah. You would have got 65 playing with him. The silver service.
I got
no idea about ruck work, but he protects where the ball's going to land because he's 7 foot, massive man. I think he claims he's 110 kilos. Please put 2 foot.
But we don't know what weight they are.
Well,
we're not
I'll
allowed
ask
to know.
him next time.
Okay.
But it protects that. Just drops it, doesn't he?
If you're an on-baller, he would want to rove to him. He is incredible and goes undervalued for a number of years. I've never seen a player look sore in a warm-up as much as him. Yeah. Sore during the game, sore after, but he just competes so hard.
Now, is this it probably is a ridiculous statement, so I'm answering my own question. He's only just holding his spot in the team. Ned Moyle is a developing young ruckman, which I'm staggered he stayed.
Yeah,
he's rucking with half the teams in the competition if he moved last year, but he signed a longer term deal to stay with the Gold Coast.
Okay,
but I agree with you with Witsy, but they're big raps on this kid coming through.
That's it's a good problem to have if you're the Gold Coast Suns. They are flying now.
Borderline, because it was legitimate. Great game on the weekend. Adelaide are a very good side. Adelaide are looking very good. They probably get their short one key defender, but Murray comes back in, and I think they're looking good. I'm a week. No, I might jump. No, I'll hold it for a couple of weeks.
Okay, well, I'm
top eight.
Top eight.
Well,
they're playing a different brand.
Suns or both?
Well, both. Yeah, but the Suns.
And also, one thing I really loved about the game is I think the matchup between Riley Thilthorpe and Mac Andrew is going to be something to really look forward to, and even them getting in their face after the game. I loved everything.
That was only they didn't play on each other.
No, they didn't.
No, but I think
Andrew was on Walker the whole game.
I think just there's potential for a bit of rivalry, similar to Zorko and Took.
The big three works
something to really look forward
to. For the Crows, they've kicked over 40 already between the three of them.
Well, and different to the other end of the ground, because you obviously got inexperience with Reid, Walter and King, who will develop similar, but they jump for the same ball.
Yeah.
You rarely see the Adelaide Crows forwards jumping for the same ball. They separate really well, and that's a development space for the Gold Coast Suns. But I agree. Fantastic, and I think we said it last week. If Tex Walker at the twilight of his career can be getting, at least a second string defender. In times he's going to get an undersized third stringer. He's going to kick big bags.
He got Mac on the weekend and kicked 4 on him.
Well, and that was good because at times he did look slow. And you could see he knew athletically, I'm cooked here. Yeah. So he was feeling for him a few times and fell over. Yeah. But just a smart man.
You've seen the Gold Coast Suns live probably more than anyone, or you'd be right up there.
Yeah.
Was that their best ever win?
Yes, it was. In the context of where they've had probably bigger opportunities, like was it 2 years ago at the MCG after they won both games in Darwin, went to the MCG to play Carlton. And that was the biggest occasion. But I think this is the most complete display. And I said it in the call, you'd appreciate this even more than me. But if you're a young midfielder or a young elite footballer coming through the ranks and you want to see an example of what the first-class standard is, go live and watch Touk Miller.
Yeah.
He runs harder than I've seen. I mean, Tom Scully used to run ridiculous kilometres and gut running, but Touk Miller sets up his player 15 seconds out. He'll run 150 metres and set up for an easy kick or an easy mark or a block. I mean, he's an elite player and sets such a high standard for those midfielders down there.
Big game on, they should get the job done against North Melbourne on a Saturday out in the Barossa. You would think.
You would think so.
They'll get it done. Now, you don't want to put your balls on the line with the top 8. I will.
You're going to put them on the line right now.
I think the top 7 are set.
Okay.
And the 8th I'm not sure on. So I've got the Lions, the Giants, the Hawks, the Crows, the Cats, the Suns, the Swans.
Okay.
and the last spot's between Pies, Freo, Saints and Dogs. So I'm putting a line through for the 2025 season on April 7. West Coast can't play finals. Melbourne,
go on.
Huge call.
Melbourne can't play finals. Carlton can't play finals. Richmond can't play finals.
call.
Essendon can't play finals. North Melbourne can't play finals. Port Adelaide can't play finals. I've put a line through all them.
Yeah,
That's fair.
yeah.
I don't think that's too outrageous, so to speak.
Carlton could be in reasonable nick in a fortnight's time. I'm not putting the line through Carlton at the moment, although they're on the precipice.
The game against West Coast
They got
on
West Coast
Saturday.
and North, so they'll win. They should win them.
Well, I tell you what, the red texter comes out if they drop one of those.
They drop one of them. I've put a line through them. They can't play finals.
Yeah,
they're
good.
mentally fragile in the second half.
Oh, they ridiculously so. They actually freeze.
Yeah.
It's incredible how difference.
How does Carlton go into the game on Saturday when you've got a team that should be 0-4 in West Coast? Like, you would think on paper West Coast should be 0-4, but Carlton shouldn't be. Ideally, where you'd think they are. So how do you prepare for that game mentally where it's like, well, we are better, we should be better than them?
They're not thinking that.
Well, I think the issue's not mentally preparing for the game because their first halves have been really good and been in winning positions. It's that half time when they go off.
So
and you can see that it's clearly a thing for them because I think they mentioned that they playing music and trying different things at half time.
Yeah.
Like, you need to just reset, get in the rooms, almost prepare, go back to the scoreboard zero. I don't know. Like, you get caught in these situations and it becomes mental.
And when it becomes mental, and now you're trying things at halftime, it's obvious you're trying things because it's a big issue. It compounds itself.
Did those sorts of streaks happen in your career?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Geez, Fitzroy, we had long losing streaks.
Yeah. But
There's
like
different
where
things.
you'd be in front but go on to drop games in...
No, I don't think we were in front. I don't even think
If you
we were in
remember
front.
Brisbane of 09, so my first year, they had an ability to come from behind. Incredible. You remember those finals? Carlton jumped them in the first final. They came back from 6 goals down, even the Western Bulldogs. So when you can get the other way, a bit like Brisbane at the moment, they fall behind and then they have the belief in themselves. So it can work both ways. You don't want to fall behind, obviously, but I think, it's just a matter of overcoming it. But there's no simple solution.
No, and you said it works both ways. The opposition now think we're still a chance.
Yeah.
We'll run over these blokes because they do stop.
Well, Collingwood
and Carlton are
mentioned it.
thinking, shit, we've frozen the last month. We can't do it again. So they're thinking there's that anxiety.
Was it Dacos, I think, after the game? He said that at half-time the message was, we know we can run over the top of them.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're West Coast and let's say Carlton are not way in front, but let's say it's Saturday afternoon.
6 goals.
6.
West Coast are working on themselves, but they'd have to believe.
Yeah. Well, then they'd look at Richmond in round 1.
And the thing is, if West Coast come out and go bang, bang at the start of the third quarter and it's back to 4 goals,
Here we go again.
the shakes start to come in for Carlton. I think Carlton will get it done. But
I think they will, surely.
that's my top 7, and there's one spot up for grabs.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. Favourites, Freo to take that spot? Geez, they looked all right.
Yeah, I think Freo were good. Like Collingwood, I'm still not sold on them. I think they're good enough. Houston goes out for the next couple, will hurt them. Saints were good on the weekend. Dogs, you never know when Bontempelli comes back. But yeah, probably Freo.
A clash for that 8th spot is on Friday night in Gather Round with the Pies and Swans, so that'll be an intriguing matchup.
I think the Swans are back. McCartan goes defence.
Oh, they were good.
They look much better.
Speaking of more disappointing teams, do we put a line through Melbourne?
Yeah.
Done?
Yeah.
Done, dusted?
You can't give up 160 marks.
What about Goody?
He's in strife.
In strife. Allow Geelong to have a free player across halfback. Everyone knows you can't afford that. Well, and that's compounded with your dump kick to that free player, and they just bounce off halfback all the time. No, it was a bad loss. They look all at sea.
Like, you look at the teams around them, Melbourne and Carlton, their list should be competing for top 8. And you could argue Port Adelaide should be as well. West Coast, we don't think can. Richmond, we know where they're at. Essendon, we know where they're at. North Melbourne. For Carlton and Melbourne to be sitting here on 0 wins after 4 games, struggle.
And what happens now is list managers that are doing all their planning, they're starting to meet, which is probably topical at the moment.
We'll get to that.
They're starting to meet with agents saying, okay, what's De Koning want to do.
Yeah.
Obviously reported a big offer from St Kilda. He's starting to think things. And this has happened. Those clubs, North Melbourne as well, after their terrible loss on the weekend as well. Players, clubs, the weak will get raided. Mm-hmm. They certainly get targeted.
Curious about North Melbourne as well this week. They were incredibly disappointing in the second half against the Swans. And, of course, they had a great win over Melbourne a couple of weeks ago, and people thought, well, maybe the Kangas would be a chance to really take it up to Sydney, a depleted Sydney. When you're in a situation like North Melbourne, when it's like, when is this going to be over? There's a big feeling of deja vu amongst the Kangaroos faithful. So how would they go about this week? I mean, obviously, they play the Gold Coast, so I wouldn't have them to win that. But what next for North Melbourne? What do they do? How do you solve a problem like the Kangas?
I think they still need to just progress on what they're going. I think their first half was good enough. Like Sydney played in the grand final last year, so they're clearly talented and one of the better teams in it. Still, in my opinion, their system stacks up. I think McCartan did an outstanding job in defence. I think Larkey didn't kick a goal until the last 2 minutes of the game. He kicked 2. So I think you've got to give them Sydney a big tick for the way they went about it. So I'm not too concerned about North Melbourne. No one expected them to jump this year. I think next year they need to really take strides to push for that 8. But I wouldn't be too concerned if I was a North supporter.
Yeah, I'm a bit harder. I think that you'd be frustrated as a North supporter with that little bit of hope, as you're saying, maybe the Melbourne game, bit of hope that more sustained success or at least compete for longer. I mean, Sydney did have 8 players out of that grand final team. I get what you're saying, but you just want to see them to develop a bit quicker because it's been a nasty road.
So, best case scenario for North in the next couple of weeks is they have a crack against Gold Coast. Carlton either just get over the line against West Coast and they go into Good Friday thinking this might be our chance to jag a big scalp or something.
Yeah, well, that's
1 week at a time.
Teams just absolutely, and it becomes so cliche. But both teams just need to compete for longer.
Yeah,
that's it. That's what it is for Carlton. Compete for longer, they win games. North Melbourne got to compete for longer just to raise the bar.
They're in the next 3 games. Like we expect the Suns to win them, to beat them. Then they got Carlton, and then they got Port Adelaide. So they've got winnable games if they turn up.
If they bank one out of the next 3, that's still a pretty good result for the Kangas.
The week after, so. They've got
and they would love nothing better to beat their old rival in the Bombers. Now, it's good that I've got you both here this week because last week the football world was rocked with the revelation that players meet other coaches and agents to talk about playing elsewhere during the season, which, I never knew happened until last week, and I was shocked. And I'll remember where I was when I found out the news that Oscar Allen had a coffee with Sam Mitchell. But what I'd love to ask you two, because this obviously happened with you blokes throughout your respective careers, because you both played for different clubs. Firstly, get your take on that situation. And secondly, I want the stories of when other clubs tried to lure you during your careers.
Before Lynchy goes, I'll just say, if you haven't heard it, Chris Scott's press conference after the game hit the nail on the head.
Oh, yes, I did see that. It was brilliant.
He spoke about it for 4 minutes. He spoke perfectly, and anyone that is questioning players meeting with opposition coaches and teams, go and watch that 4 minutes.
Give us the 15-second version.
Well, effectively he's saying everyone in the competition, Oscar Allen's out, they would want to speak to him. Yeah. He said, if I was Sam Mitchell, if I was an ex-teammate of Oscar Allen's and an ex-coach of him, I'm going to catch up with him. Yeah. He goes, I'm not going to catch up with him because I don't know him personally at this point in the year, but if I'm over there and it falls that way, I'd meet with him. He goes, the fact that we think that it's not happening, he goes, you've got to be a bit more discreet about it. But he said, how do you know what they talked about there at that coffee? No one knows. They caught up, but they could have caught up as mates. How do you...
Oh, give us a spell.
I know what he's saying, but then he's saying, he also said that, and no one got it in the room, I think it went over all the media's head, he goes, his preference is that they can talk to any player in the competition and no one can speak to his players. But he just said that Ross Lyon caught up with Tyson Stengel the year before. It's just accepted now that it happens, and
absolutely it is.
You got to be a little bit more discreet about it, and I think you can be discreet about it. But that 4 minutes is outstanding.
Okay, well, he does nail it so often.
Yeah.
And
I'll tell you what wasn't outstanding
was
Oscar Allen doing a forced apology press conference. That was utterly embarrassing. But in saying that, maybe if they have a coffee, don't sit out at the front table of the cafe, go somewhere very private.
So is that what happened?
Yeah, apparently it was a very popular
coffee club, I think.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was like, that was a rookie error.
And it's not an error for Hawthorn or Sam Mitchell.
No, not at all.
It's for Oscar Allen. The
like-
pressure that comes on,
Surely-
Especially after you've played
Surely
in a
there would have
derby.
been a friend's house or something. But anyway, Lynchy, you'll probably be doing that, or should Tasmania Football Club be happening?
Well, we've just cancelled all our meetings at coffee shops over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, that won't be happening.
Thought we'd better lay low.
No cafe meetings. But as I say, let's dial it back. I want to know about when you met with opposition clubs when you were playing, about moving on. So, Lynchy, you're in a very different era.
Yeah.
30 odd years ago, and about 1993, you were a very hot property.
Yeah.
Who tried to lure you, and what did they do?
I'll tell you, I met with... Now, I think it was 93. It might have been 92.
Okay.
And again, with these times, you had no real intention of going anywhere until a ridiculous offer come through. I met with Ken Sheldon at St Kilda, with Peter Hudson, who was the sort of footy manager down there at the time.
Where and how?
At Ken's house down Bayside. So, yeah, had a chat with them. Met with... this was definitely 93 when there was talk of possibly a move because Fitzroy was struggling. I met with Ron Barassi at, I reckon, the Southern Cross Hotel in Melbourne. And I don't know, was it Ron Barassi and Ron Joseph, I think.
Okay.
So met with them.
And they were at the Swans at the time? Yep.
Yeah. So there was talk about going to the Swans because the priority picks that year, Brisbane Bears and Sydney Swans had priority picks where they actually could sign someone outside of the draft.
Okay.
So it was sort of almost, if I'm remotely thinking of leaving, I've got to chat to them. So I spoke with them.
What did they offer?
Oh, I got no idea. I don't reckon they got to the offer stage.
Did you ever get wined and dined somewhere, or did you ever like take advantage of, we'll take you to a nice restaurant or something? Did you ever get like proper wooed?
Yeah, I was, well, and again, I wasn't hiding this because start with Scott Clayton, who was the recruiting manager, list manager, whatever you call it, of the Brisbane Bears. He took me for a game of golf down at somewhere like Victoria Golf Club or something like that. Mm. But I took Roosie as well, who was my captain.
Yeah.
Because we both played with Scotty. So that was it was out there. But then Brisbane brought me up to have a look at the club and that sort of stuff at some stage. I can't remember exactly what time of year that was. It was most probably it was at the end of the season. But yeah, wined and dined.
Were brown paper bags ever involved?
No, there's no.
Oh, that's disappointing.
Well,
yeah, you're disappointed that no one got the suitcase or the brown paper bag out for
I
you?
probably didn't get to the stage.
Oh,
Actually,
okay.
I spoke to. Now I can't remember exactly how. Wasn't John L. Ian Collins contacted me,
and he was at
Carlton.
And you'd expect, well, if Carlton's giving you a call in the early 90s, it's like, where's the cash?
So Ian Collins called me and said to continue this discussion. It was always going to be hard. Fitzroy said, we're not trading you under any circumstances. And so that meant I only could go to Brisbane or Sydney. And I said that to Carlton, so they won't trade me, so no chance. And Ian Collins told me, go with this particular manager and we'll make it work. I said, nah, not interested.
And then you got the Godfather offer at the Brisbane Bears.
Yeah, that was it.
Rock, yours is more recent and more in modern times and during the time of free agency. And you were looking for a trade in. There was rumours about you being traded at least for your last couple of years at the Brisbane Lions. Tell us about who you met with, how you were wooed, what were the options on the table?
So 2013 was the first time that I experienced it. Vossi had been sacked and Paul Roos and Melbourne met with them down in Melbourne at the end of the season. Went and did a tour of the facility in their club at the MCG there. So that one, I was pretty close because I was, a bit all over the shop.
When they give you a tour of those facilities, do they do it incognito or it's just like, here's Tom Rockliff, he's just having a look?
I think they had offices because Melbourne, they were away at that time.
Right.
They were still they just transitioned down wherever they went.
Casey.
Down at Casey Field. So they were coming back. So I went to the MCG and they have all their offices and stuff set up there. Offered a leadership role, not captain or anything like that, but to go there. And then I felt like I had to stay. I wanted to stay at Brisbane throughout my whole career, but Leopard took over and probably should have won the Brownlow in 13, Lynchy, so I probably could have got the good offer there from the D's. But yeah, it was touch and go, and Melbourne were on the rise, and Roosie was impressive. But yeah, decided to stay. 2016, when Leopard got sacked, there was a few murmurs of potentially moving. Nothing sort of ever eventuated that year, but maybe the Crows and Collingwood a little bit, but then 2017 was obviously the year where it became quite clear that Brisbane didn't want me to stay. They would shift in a different direction, which was fine. The Blues, Port Adelaide, Cats and Hawks. So Hawthorn sent up their head recruiter who would have been then, came to my house in about round 6. So we sat out on the back deck, had a couple of hour meeting, and then Clarko called during the week. We had a phone call for 45 to an hour.
Mm-hmm. What do those phone calls consist of?
Oh, they just tell you about the club, where they see you at, where they see their club, how you can benefit them, what they want to, the direction that they're heading. So it's pretty impressive. Geelong I went to Scotty's apartment in the Docklands.
Uh-huh.
So I did a footy show, I reckon, at Channel 7 or 9, and then went over there, met with them. So they had all their recruiting team.
Did you get
CEO, Steve Hocking. No, there was nothing like that. No, they said, look, you're out of contract, restricted free agent. They're not doing their job if they don't speak to me. And it sort of never really got anywhere, because their priority that year was getting Gaz home, Gary Ablett. So they said, look, we probably can't get you both in, but we're just in case something falls through. But Gaz was a priority, got him home. And then it turned to the Blues and Port Adelaide. Port Adelaide bye week. So around 10 or 11, so the conversations had started early in the year. Around 10 or 11, we had the bye, went up to Noosa with my partner at the time, drove back early Sunday morning, jumped on a Qantas flight, so I didn't get identified, and went to Chris Davies' house, the footy manager. Met with Ken for about an hour, just had conversations. They presented what they believed, presented really well, got on the plane, came home, and then Carlton, end of season, it sort of ramped up from there. Went down Lygon Street, up the top of a restaurant. They had all their head honchos there, Sticks and everyone. They rolled everyone out.
It sounds like a scene out of The Godfather.
Go and do full medicals and stuff like that. And then Brendan Bolton, he came up, him and Sticks, Silvani, I reckon, actually in an apartment at Broadbeach, and had another conversation. And then it was pretty much up to me which way we went.
How good's your poker face when you're doing those meetings, when you're still at Brisbane? How do you... Well, were you honest that you had those meetings, or do you just...
Well, how do you... They were pretty honest with me. I just said to Fags, look, my preference is to stay. But so I signed a contract in 2013 or started 2014 for an extension. It was All-Australian, won at a club best and fairest, club captain for 2 of those years, and offered a fair pay cut, almost half what I was on. So it was pretty clear that they didn't want to keep me when the salary cap's going up. So I just said to Fags, look, I've got to explore, and he was open to that. I have mutual respect for them, and they understand the way it operates. I mean, they're not having conversations with other players in the competition. So I think everyone accepts it now that it happens. It's just how you perform. And that year, I think I played, particularly in the first half of the year at Brisbane, was probably some of the best footy I've ever played in 17, then popped my shoulder out, and I played with a dislocated shoulder that just kept popping in and out for the rest of the year. So
we've, in the Rugby League, a couple of weeks ago, and he even called into the NRL podcast, Daly Cherry Evans announced that he said he's not playing at Manly for the rest of the season. He's a Manly icon, captain of the club and whatnot. And it's very common in Rugby League that players go, this is my last season, I play for the Broncos, but next year I'm playing for Souths, so to speak. Do we need to do that in AFL, or is the current system
No.
We couldn't cope with it.
Nah, and I think
Rugby league,
they're moving away from it.
they want to shift to us as well.
So I think we appreciate and respect that you've got to do your due diligence if you're looking at moving, but I don't think we need to be playing while contracted with someone else.
I think
didn't Daly Cherry Evans sign years ago with the Gold Coast?
Yeah, and reneged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he'd actually done it before.
Yeah. He double-crossed.
I think what's happened there is he was open to stay at Manly. They didn't offer him anything, and then he's decided to go. So that's a different topic. But I think in the AFL, we accept now that if you're out of contract or you're in contract with a year to go, but your free agency's sort of thereabouts, I think you can expect most people to be having those conversations, whether it happens with the manager, with the club. I think
at some stage it's got to get to the player.
It eventually gets to the player meeting with the club if he's interested, or again, you can jack your price up as well if you want.
Yeah, well, that's what they do half the time is no intention of going, but get the price up. I met with Peter Hudson when he was the CEO at Hawthorn. Now, I met with Peter because
So this is going back to, is this when you're at Fitzroy?
Yeah.
Yep.
Because he's a friend and he was my first coach at Hobart. So I used to see a lot of Pete. But then he sort of mentioned, we'd like to put something to you. And so I met him at Hawthorn at Glenferrie Oval. Again, more social than anything else, but he wanted to put an offer to me. And I said, well, you better have a look at this offer I just got from the Brisbane Bears first. And he said, oh, right. Enjoy Brisbane.
Was that Brisbane Bears contract just crossed out Jason Dunstall and replaced with your
Yeah,
name?
no. Jace got offered first, and Jace reckons, his offer was a lot more than mine, which would be understandable too, because he's absolute superstar. But so
and a Queenslander.
I got his contract. Yeah,
very good.
Dregs.
And you're taking notes from all this situation when you try lure players to Tasmania. You probably got Matt Rowell, Seth Campbell. They're definitely on your list. Do you want to?
No, they're all on the list.
Everyone's on their list.
Our priority is to find the best person to pick those players.
And maybe a ground to play.
But to take people inside that as well, you go to recruiting offices now, and they'll have nearly every player in the competition on the board, on a whiteboard, and they'll have which ones are available, which ones are their targets, and break it down.
Market.
It's an incredible process if you can ever get vision of it. I'm sure most clubs probably won't do that, but I'd imagine
it's worth a documentary.
Tasmania would have every player in the competition. They'd have 16, 17-year-olds and starting to build their list the way they want.
Yeah, so it started with the under-15 schoolboys and schoolgirls last year.
Yeah.
So that list, we've got all the data on those players. They roll into the under-16s now, but also the current under-17s. There's we're looking at those as well. Some that don't get drafted, some that you'll be just tracking for future years. It is fascinating. You watch the list build discussions, and you've got your team. What they're on when they come out of contract, and so you're projecting ahead. Luke Hodge playing halfback for the Brisbane Lions. So you're thinking, well, he's going to pop off next year, so we've got to find a halfback flanker with leg speed. So then you have a look over to free agents, restricted free agents who can come through, who's in the draft. So it's a fascinating matrix.
It's an intriguing, and that's why player movement, it is an intriguing thing, and people just cannot get enough of. You know what else people can't get enough of? You know what they are? Our multis. But you know what else? You know what else people want by popular demand? The quiz. It's back, and it's up next on Neds AFL Unpopular Opinions. Back by popular demand, it's time for the Neds AFL Unpopular Opinions quiz. I'm your quizmaster, Dylan Leach. Our contestants are Tom Rockliff. He enjoys getting lots of possessions. Welcome, Tom.
Thanks for having me, Dill.
And Alastair Lynch. He's very passionate about all things Tasmanian.
Yes, thanks, Dill.
You're playing for the honour of winning and footy knowledge. It's a best of 10 questions. Question and answer, sale of the century style. Your buzzers are Lynchy and your buzzer is Rocky.
And we've got a theme or a topic?
The topic this week is, it's gather round. So we're talking about all things South Australia.
Oh,
so
geez.
Hope you know your check side kicks and your red goalposts and your team's name from the forward line. All the South Australianisms.
Adopted South Australian over here.
Yeah, well, this man built the foundations.
Run out of the joint. No.
This man built the foundations of the South Australia club. So you good to go?
Yep.
All right, first question. In what year did Football Park host its last AFL game?
Lynchy.
Go.
18.
No.
2012.
No, it was 2013, and the last game was Port Adelaide versus Carlton.
Good. That's a win for me, basically.
The VFL AFL has the Brownlow. The Waffle has the Sandover.
Lynchy.
What?
McGarry.
Correct.
Did you win one of those?
Nah, I only played a couple of games.
You would have polled votes, McGarry votes, and the time he got 57 disposed.
Yeah, I got 3 that
Oh,
time.
yeah.
Third question. In what year did the Adelaide Crows first qualify for the finals?
Rocky, they played in the grand finals 97, 98. They would have played finals before that, wouldn't they?
Hang on, this is not...
5?
No, it was 1993. They were in front at half-time of the preliminary final by 40-odd points and lost to Essendon.
Right. Score check?
Score check.
1-0.
Lynchy 1, Rocky 0.
Just checking.
There we go. Question 4. Name the player who has had the honour of being the captain of both Victoria and South Australia.
Sticks?
Lynchy. Malcolm Blight.
Correct. Malcolm Blight has been captain
There
of
you
both WA. Not WA as well. No, not WA.
as well.
Definitely not the captain of WA. SA and Victoria. In fact, he was the captain of both in this 1 year, 1980. He was captain of both for 2 different games. A little bit of fun there.
What 2 teams did John Longmire play for in the same year? State teams.
Well, he would play for New South Wales
The Allies?
and the Allies.
Nah, New South Wales and Victoria.
Did he? Was he
played
played for Victoria? There you go. Okay, question 5. Tom, surely you'll know this.
I wouldn't have thought.
Let's go. Who was the first coach of Port Adelaide in their inaugural AFL season? You built the foundations there, Tom.
Cahill. Was it?
What was your guess,
Cahill.
sorry? John Cahill. Correct. That's 1 for Rocky.
He's away.
Yeah,
Rocky
racing.
1, Lynchy 2.
Right.
Question 6. Complete the lyrics.
Oh, give us a spell.
We're the pride of South Australia. We're the mighty Adelaide Crows.
Don't know.
Nah.
Okay, the answer is we're courageous, stronger, faster, and respected by our foes.
Yeah, no.
It's good to know you don't know the words of the
No.
Adelaide theme song there, Rocky. It would have been controversial
Well,
with you.
we both would have heard it on the weekend, but in the pre-game. Yeah, our memory's
Didn't hear it
just shot.
after. Did not hear it after. Barry Robran, he's a famous name in South Australian football, especially at North Adelaide, and he was inducted into the Hall of Fame, the Australian Football Hall of Fame, as a legend in 2001. Which VFL AFL club did he play for?
Oh, I have a crack. North Melbourne?
No.
I would have said that. Essendon.
No, none. He was regarded as the best player to never play
There's your
AFL,
quiz
VFL.
going. You got to have an answer.
No, that's the answer. The answer is he didn't
You said
play
which
for it.
one?
No.
Right, okay. Right, yeah.
The best player to never play at AFL, VFL level. That's what he's been regarded as.
Yep.
Which premiership winning team this is question 8. Which premiership winning team is yet to play at Adelaide Oval during gathering?
Brisbane Lions.
Correct. Rocky 2, Lynchy 3. All right.
Are you? 2. 2
Lynchy
all.
2.
Oh, is
We're
it
2 all.
right, yeah?
We're 2
Or
all.
did he get 3?
No, we're 2 all.
Let's go back through
Let's
the
go
table.
through.
Master.
Yeah.
It's going well.
It's going great. People love this quiz. People love it. Okay. Lower or higher? What is Tom at Rockliff's average disposals at Adelaide Oval? It's between 20 and 30.
Yeah,
Here we go.
27.
Lower.
26.
Lower.
25.
Lower.
4. 24.
Correct.
Bullshit. Stupid quiz.
Stupid.
3-all. So you
3-all.
you
That's
had
right.
24.65 to be exact.
Well, that's
that's
25.
I'll go 24. I'll give you both the point. You both get the point.
Oh, you've slaughtered that.
Yeah, I have slaughtered that. My math's not.
Law of averages means it's 25.
That's all right.
But anyway,
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
give you both the point.
Right.
so what are we on?
4 each.
Right.
We haven't answered 8 right, but go on.
Yeah, go on.
Name the most recent SA club to win an AFL premiership.
Tom.
Lynchy.
Or
Oh, who got
Port.
it?
Port in 04.
Whose answer?
That's Lynchy. I've nodded. Lynchy,
Oh.
you said it first.
Well,
Port.
crazy.
I'll give it to Lynch.
Port.
2004.
So gross then.
All right, Lynchy, you've won.
Hey! 8-4.
Congratulations, Lynchy.
There's a couple of issues with a couple of the questions.
But
Just
you've
the
won.
quiz. The quiz in question, isn't it?
Yeah, I
It
reckon.
doesn't come back.
Which VFL team did Barry Robram play for?
He didn't play for a VFL team. It's a trick question.
All right.
Oh, I'd go more stupid question.
Well, congratulations.
No, thanks
You've
very
won the
much. No, well
prize.
done. Beautiful.
You've won a.
You've won both quizzes.
Yeah, you've won a beautiful slab. You've won a 6-pack of West End.
Beautiful. Southwark.
Yeah,
No,
not
you wouldn't know Southwark.
no,
That's a
definitely not the Fogarty beer. The
Coopers.
Yeah. Time to wrap up here on AFL Unpopular Opinions. Well, what a fantastic quiz that was. People just love the quiz. In fact, the whole podcast should be a quiz. That's the feedback we've been getting, but I'm like, no, we're sticking with the current format.
Not sure about that deal. No.
People
It's on
love
its
it.
last legs, I think.
It's up there with the Billy Brownless quiz on the Triple M.
I wouldn't have thought.
It's as chaotic though. Time to wrap up. Boys, gather round this weekend. Beautiful South Australia. Always a fantastic time. We got games at Adelaide Oval. We got Norwood, and we got the Barossa Valley, the beautiful Barossa Valley, hosting footy for the first time. What are you looking forward to?
You going?
No, I'm not going.
Oh,
no.
okay.
We're going. Neds will be there. The whole team Neds. We're going to be there.
The A grade is over, so you'll be there.
I'll be there.
I think the whole weekend is unbelievable. Adelaide do it really well, but I'm going with the last game. After last year's finals, Ken's send off to Ginnivan. I think there'll be a bit of spice in that one, and I'm worried about Port Adelaide's chances of winning that one, but I think there'll be a bit of spice in it. So that is the last game of the weekend at Adelaide Oval, 7:20. I'll be looking forward to that, or 6:50 local time.
What are you looking forward to, Alastair?
I'm looking forward to getting there.
Just
It
getting
is.
there.
It is a
It's
great
fantastic.
weekend of footy. I've got the two Norwood games. So
There's two cracking ones.
Saturday
Norwood's got some
afternoon,
cracking
Western
fixtures.
Bulldogs and the Lions. Then just spill straight out into the Food and Wine Festival there at Norwood
Very
straight
nice.
afterwards.
What are you going to? What are you going to sample at the Food and Wine Festival?
All of it.
very
So sample all of it, then turn around, press a shirt, and go straight back for the Sunday game, which is St Kilda and Giants.
Two cracking fixtures.
Yeah, two very good games and a unique footy ground, isn't it?
It's a great footy ground.
Did you ever play there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sample.
I enjoyed watching the footy there last year, actually. With the
Oh, it's great. Great environment.
I'm genuinely looking forward to heading out to the Barossa on Sunday for Richmond and Fremantle and enjoying a glass of Shiraz in the outer. That's what you got to do.
You got a little gig going, a little cashy.
No, just with
hosting
Neds.
something.
Just with Neds.
Oh, right, yeah.
This time. No, so I'm still getting paid, obviously, but no bits on the side just yet. But
No,
I am
very good.
available if you need anything.
If someone wants to just do a random quiz pre-game, they
just get
touch
the quiz.
base.
Just get old Glenn Ridge here, boys. Fantastic show this week. Good luck, Rocky, as well. Back to back three-peat now for the
Three-peat,
multi.
yeah.
We got a multi
We'll get it
dynasty.
done.
That snapshot will drop tomorrow. The Bag of Snags too. That's doing very well. That'll be out on Thursday. Lynchy, have a wonderful time at Gather Round. I'll see you.
forward to it.
I'll see you at Norwood for a bit of wine and cheese after the footy on Saturday. Enjoy.
You win some, you lose more. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website